Hello, everyone, and welcome to Slapendipity, Hobos of Happy Slappy Town, episode 68. My name is Devon, but you can call me Gibby, and I'm here with Eric, who you can call Eric. Eric?
Hello.
Have you ever wished upon a star?
I've dreamed upon a dream.
That's way more lyrics to that song than I know. This is our Disney episode.
Whoa.
We went to Disney in Tokyo.
Whoa!
Wow, it was magical. So, I will say, there are two Disney parks in Tokyo. There's Disneyland Tokyo, and there's Disney by the Sea. These are two separate parks requiring two separate tickets, and we kind of learned the hard way that you really should spend about 1 day in each, and we ended up spending 2 days in just Disneyland because we didn't know what Disneyland by the Sea was.
We thought it was like we thought
maybe
water
it was like,
resort.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's the water rides ? Which is not. Yeah. There's a Six Flags in the great state of New Jersey that has 3 parks. I think there's like the roller coaster park, the water ride park, which is called like a Hurricane Harbor or something, and then there's the zoo.
Wow.
So it's like, do you want to go to the roller coasters or the water park? It's like the roller coasters, duh. So I kind of thought that this was the same thing, where there's like the normal Disney park and then there's like the water park. Not the case. Both of them are full amusement parks.
Whoops.
Anyway, all good.
For
They're still magical.
Some background detail. I've been to a Disney World, land, whatever, 1 time, and Devin had gone 0 times. And after this trip, I would have gone 2 times, and you would have gone 1 time. So I had a vague idea of what to expect, and you had no idea. In Disney.
Yes, my experience with theme parks has been the aforementioned Six Flags. I've been to Dorney Park, which is in the great state of Pennsylvania, and I've been to Hershey Park, which is in the great state of Pennsylvania. And that's all I've been to. And wow. to partially quote the great YouTuber Jenny Nicholson, who talks about theme parks, Six Flags is not a theme park. Six Flags is a parking lot that might have Superman on the sign for a ride.
Wow.
So I kind of thought that just a Disneyland would just be the same thing. It's just roller coasters, but Mickey Mouse is walking around.
And did you see Mickey Mouse?
Oh, we did see Mickey Mouse, yes. But nope, that's not what it is. It's actually themed, by which I mean when you walk in, it's like you're in another world.
What do you mean? Give me elaborate detail. I don't understand.
Well, there's a couple different lands in Disneyland. There was France Land, which was for like Beauty and the Beast. There was like generic Disney Castle Land with like, people walking around on trumpets and like little like horse-drawn carriages, but like not really. And the big castle. There was just Whimsical Land. I think it was technically Alice in Wonderland themed, but like that's also where like It's a Small World After All ride was. It's just like weird, quirky little stuff. There was Toontown, there was Wild West Town, and there was Future Spacey Town. And each of these sections had their own, the buildings' facades were totally different, and like the sidewalk looked different, and each one of the things I thought was so amazing is like, when you were in one, you almost couldn't see any of the others, because they'd made the ground lower elevation, or they put trees or buildings.
They made stuff so you couldn't tell what was what, and it was like, wow, I'm in the Wild West, and I feel like I'm in the Wild West. Pistol on my hip, and
big iron on my hip.
Big iron on my hip, and then you walk, 10 minutes over to Space World, and you're like, whoa, I got a future iron on my hip.
I got a DL-47 blaster on my hip. So we wanted to, when the park opened, we're like, we want to just pick a ride and just like go there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walk in and we just kind of like veer to the left. And I don't remember exactly when we picked it, but we're going to Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Big Thunder Mountain,
which is the only roller coaster in the entire park.
Well,
yes.
Technically.
It is the only roller coaster. It is the only roller coaster in the entire park. That was a dark ride.
Oh, dark rides are still roller coasters.
No, 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 no.
Oh my
Unless you're like,
goodness.
I don't know,
This is
maybe
gatekeeping roller coasters.
yes. So we go to Thunder Mountain, and there's no line. We just run all the way to the front, and it's pretty cool. I have to wait like 3 minutes when we get to the front of the queue. And we hop on the train, and we're in the first car, which is really exciting. And I haven't been on a roller coaster in years. And we sit down, and the train goes chugga chugga choo choo. And we're talking about, like, oh man, the line queue is so cool. They got these stuff everywhere to look at while you're in line. And then Eric's telling me as we're like going up the slope, he's like, the story is that like you're part of a mining expedition, but like you gotta like fight people and gold, and there's like arguments in the Union, and there's gold in them hills. And I go, okay. And we go up the hill, and then it's like, ooh, there's shiny stuff, and then we go wee, and we go down the hill, and it's a roller coaster, we're like wee, and then you go to the left, and then you go up, and then you go down, and you go wee, and you don't go upside down at any point, which is kind of disappointing. And then you get to the end, and you're like, wow, that was a roller coaster, that was really exciting.
Couldn't have said it better myself. 10 out of 10.
Little did I know, that would be the only roller coaster I would go on in the entirety of Japan. But that is a story for another day.
That's not true either.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Donkey Kong is a roller coaster.
Okay, Donkey Kong is a roller coaster. I'll give you that.
Okay.
We went on one other one. We didn't go upside down, though. Very sad.
Well, you know.
So, we then start just kind of walking around. We're like, let's go counterclockwise, question mark. So, because we got there when the park opened, we kind of rushed to the ride. So, we didn't really have time to like, let's look at the castle. Let's take a picture of this. Let's take a picture. So we end up just kind of like walking around the park. And we go on a bunch of rides. We go on Haunted Mansion, which was pretty crazy, if I do say so myself.
Good ride. Good ride.
Would you compare it like very similar to the real one in Florida?
Yeah, I'd say they're pretty similar. I think there's a few differences, but like I don't think you're gonna notice if you aren't that into it. Good ride.
And I was like, whoa, good ride, that was crazy. And then we're like, oh, I guess we can go to like Who Framed Roger Rabbit ride. And so we went there and we're like, wow, that was cool. It's a dark ride. And then we go to Snow White. And one of the reasons I was excited for Snow White is because if you know things about Disney parks, you know that a while ago, this is like decades ago probably, they made a Snow White ride. And it's a dark ride, so it brings you inside and you're on a little cart and like you go through these scenes and there's like animatronics and like scary narration and blah, blah, blah. And the ride got a lot of complaints because the witch from Snow White was too scary. So in all the Disney parks, in Tokyo, no, not in Tokyo, in Paris, in Florida, the two Americas, they changed the ride completely. Totally different ride. Still Snow White themed, but just totally different ride. Tokyo Disneyland is not directly owned by the Disney company. It is licensed by the to the Disney company. So when Disney changed the ride, Tokyo Disney didn't. So if you ever want to ride this classic version of the Snow White ride, you can only ride it in Tokyo Disney. And so I thought that was just an interesting fun fact. I'm like, that's something I knew about this park just from like cultural osmosis, that the only place you can ride the scary Snow White ride is in Tokyo Disney. And we're in Tokyo Disney, so let's ride the scary Snow White ride. And so we're online for the scary Snow White ride, and there's signs that have a picture of the old hag from the Snow White movie. And the sign says, warning to parents, I am on this ride. This ride might be scary for children. So instead of changing the ride, they just put signs saying, warning, this ride is scary.
Which, you know, fair. It's up to the parents. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I thought it was very, it's fine. We went on the Pinocchio ride, which is more of the same. We ended up going on Small World on our second day there, because as I said, we went for 2 days. And my mother was like, your grandmother always loved It's a Small World. I'm like, okay, well, that's one of the only rides we didn't go on, so we'll go on Small World. And we went, and it was just kind of like, yeah, this is weird.
Yeah.
A little water boat. And it's just like, it's a small world after all. It's just that the whole time. But then they had in these little Disney characters, like Groot, Guardians of the Galaxy was there. You had Lilo and Stitch on surfboards. You had some, like, other, like, Coco, Mr. Coco himself playing guitar.
That's not his name.
So yeah, it was just Small World. It was whatever. One of the first stops we made, because each land sort of has like a store that's themed to it. So there's like a Wild West store and there's a space store. So we went into the store that was modeled after Winnie the Pooh's house, 100 Acre Woods store. And you walk in, and it's like Winnie the Pooh's little tree root house.
10 out of 10. Good job.
And I was in awe.
Why were you in awe?
Well, because we kind of had the conversation already where I was like, I didn't grow up on Disney movies. I have no nostalgia for Mickey Mouse. I don't really care about any of this. Like, oh my god, it's the castle? Who cares? Oh my god, it's Mickey Mouse? Who cares? Oh my god, it's this song from this thing? Like, I don't know what any of that means. I'm not a Disney person, because I'm not, and I never have been.
Because your parents... I'm gonna stop myself.
My parents also kind of, like, actively disliked Disney, and, like, still do.
Just like my parents with Star Wars.
Anti-Disney person. And so I kept making comments like, when we go to Universal and we step into Harry Potter World, I might cry. When we go to Universal and I step into Nintendo World, I might cry. But Disney, it's just stupid Mickey Mouse. Who even cares?
So did you cry in the Winnie the Pooh store or something?
Yes. Yes. Because I, as a kid, loved Winnie the Pooh, which I'm sure everyone did. Winnie the Pooh is just like one of those ubiquitous childhood loving icons. He's just like the purest, most amazing little guy.
How could you like Winnie the Pooh if you didn't grow up on Disney?
Because Winnie the Pooh is barely Disney. He's Winnie the Pooh. He's his own brand. He's He's Pooh Bear. He's magical. So walking into his house, and there's just like honey and little poo dolls and like all this stuff. I'm just like, oh my god, I'm in the 100 Acre Woods, and it made me feel things deep, deep down. It softened the ice around my heart, and I'm like, wow. Is this what Disney adults feel like all the time?
Maybe.
Is this why this place is magic to them?
Probably.
Yeah, so I will say that was one of the more enjoyable experiences. If we're keeping track at any point of me being like, I think one of the best experiences in Japan was this. Stepping into Winnie the Pooh's house, one of the best experiences, period.
Wow. Quite the bar.
Yeah, very high bar. We did circles around the park. We went to Spaceland. They had Star Tours. And I kept trying to explain to Eric what Star Tours was, but I think I just did a very poor job. Like, It's like a motion simulator ride, but like you're in a car and you do this. So I don't know. Did you fully understand what it was until we sat down?
I have
Like, how bad was my explanation?
I think kinda bad. I don't remember your explanation now, so it didn't stick with me anyways. But I know a fair bit about roller coasters and like how you dark rides versus simulation rides and whatever, and I was like, oh, okay, it's a simulation ride. Check.
And we had just been to the Star Wars convention, which will probably be its own episode. And so Eric is kind of like over Star Wars'd. And I'm like, let's go on the Star Wars ride. And we're walking through, and there's the animatronic droids, and there's like a C-3PO, and like they're talking to you, and you like go through this little thing, and it's like an airport. And it's just so cool, and we get these glasses, and we get on the ride, and the ride made me a little nauseous, but it was fine. It was a cool experience. And I think one of the more interesting things that kept happening was every time we got on a ride, the staff would be like, if you have a bag or a purse or a backpack, tuck it between your legs. And I'm always just like, what do you mean, tuck it between my legs? This could fly off and kill someone. There should be cubbies here for me to put my backpack in. What do you mean, like, I'm responsible for holding this on a roller coaster? And so we get into Star Tours, and they're just like, just put it in between your legs and be careful. I'm like, what a crazy experience we're having. Wild. Absolutely wild.
I don't understand how that's crazy to you.
We went on a roller coaster, and you're just supposed to hold your purse?
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
Just don't...
Absolutely.
It doesn't go that fast.
Big Thunder Man went pretty fast. And lots of uppies and downies.
Yeah, but there was no loop-de-loops. You said it yourself. You never go upside down, you don't do a thingy. It's just sharp turns, which gravity and physics will just keep your purse between your legs. Science, man. boggling.
Science.
Anyway, Star Wars tours.
Star Tours is pretty cool. What's your thought on Star Tours? What do you think?
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was a good ride.
So I decided, like, for the entire trip that I would be buying pins of, like, different locations we went to. So Disney was in our second week, so I already had quite a few pins. And we were talking about Disney and how, like, Disney's really big on pins. And so we had both sort of decided before we got there, like, if they have pins of a specific character, we were going to hunt down that character. And I wanted to pick characters who I didn't think were popular enough that there would be a pin of them in every single store, but that were popular enough that I think there would be at least one in the park. So we each wanted to come up with characters like that, where there was chance of there being merchandise, but you had to dig for it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell them who your character was?
Nah, I forgot.
Bruh.
Probably
I also
like
forget who
0.
yours was.
I don't think I really did
is.
that. I think we talked about it, and I think I came up with a few guesses, and I just didn't play along.
Boo. I came up with Dewey Duck, specifically. Not Huey, Dewey, and Louie, just Dewey. From DuckTales.
Yeah, there you go.
Or just from being Donald Duck's nephews. I didn't know which color he was. I know he's not the red one. He's
blue.
Either blue or green. He's the blue one?
He's
Dewey's
blue.
Bluey? Okay, got it. I'll remember that now.
And you were like, I'll never find a pin of this, but if I do, it'll be so cool. And I went, Devon, why wouldn't you find a pin of it? And you went, because who knows what DuckTales is? And I went, everyone. There was a reboot in like 2015. And he goes, what?
No, I knew that. They got David Tennant to voice... David
Oh,
Tennant
that's
voices
true.
Scrooge McDuck. I've seen the show. What are you talking about?
You were still surprised.
No, I was...
Or you didn't think the show was that popular.
Yes, I was thinking that it would be unlikely that there would be merchandise for Dewey, and that any merchandise would have all three of the ducks on it. It would have all three. So I said, if I see something with all three, I'll get that. But then after... If I get something that has all three of them, after that I'm limited to just Dewey. So we're going through the park, we're stopping at every store, I'm looking for my Dewey merch. I'm buying pins of, like, each land. I wanted, like, a Western pin and a space pin and a whatever. No Star Tours pin, which I found kind of sad.
Womp
So we're
womp.
going through the land and we're doing whatever. At one point we're looking for food. And as I quickly found out, the only food in the park that I could eat were churros. So I started revisiting the same churro wagons on both days just to get churros, because there's literally no other food in the park for me besides churros and ice cream. Thank you, Disney.
Well, they had
No.
They had
So on that first day,
vegetables.
no, they didn't. On that first day, we went to an ice cream stand, and you got like mango or something?
I got like a mango swirl. It was, in my mind, I was like, oh, this is like an orange swirl when you go down to Florida with the orange bird, and it's an orange and vanilla soft serve swirl ice cream. But here it was very similar, but it was mango instead of orange. Still very good.
So you got that, and then I didn't want mango, so I went and got a different ice cream somewhere else. And then we went on Jungle Cruise, which is pretty cool, entirely in Japanese, so a little, weird. And then we went on the big train, which I don't remember what it's called.
The big
you're on a train. That big train. The train circles the whole park. And again, there's a narrator going the whole time, and I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know what he was saying. And so we'd go around, and it would be like, and off to your left are a bunch of animatronic representations of American Indians. And we look over, and there'd be like teepees and people around a fire with like big feathers on their hats. And I was like, oh, yikes. And Eric was like, oh, yikes. And we'd the train would make a turn, and they'd be like, and to the right, there's some deer. And be like, okay, look, some deer. And we'd make another turn, and they'd be like, and to the left, you see more Indians. It's like, okay. I get it to an extent that this land is supposed to be like Americana land. Like, there's the old West City. There's this Mark Twain steamboat that's supposed to look like a boat that would be on the Mississippi River, and now there's a bunch of American Indians. But at the same time, I just felt very uncomfortable looking at these, like, animatronic representations of, like, And now to look at Indians in their natural habitat. It's like, oh, but they're people. You guys, you're Japanese. You don't understand the white guilt involved in me looking at this tableau right now. How did you feel?
I mean, I wasn't too... Japan can be racist. It's not... Well, everyone's a little racist.
They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to the Native Americans.
Japan is kind of racist. As we all are, but I don't know. It was a little weird seeing, like, animatronic Native Americans being like, presumably, and the Native American is about to spear the deer and bring back the kill for his family. And it's like, this did not age well, and we all have some learning we could do.
And then the train makes a left turn into a tunnel. And we see the absolute coolest thing in the entire park. We pass a giant, full-sized dinosaur battle with full, accurate, enormous dinosaurs fight animatronics. Whipping their tails at each other and, moving their heads. But, again, full-size statues with moving parts, and there's a big thunder effect, and, the walls are glistening. So we just, go into the cave, lost to time. And there's just a dinosaur battle. And I'm like, I thought we were on the little train that just goes choo-choo all the way through the park. Turns out this is the coolest animatronic in the whole place is this giant dinosaur.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I like animatronics. I know I've never talked about them before in my entire life, but I do enjoy animatronics. And so seeing these dinosaurs, I was like, wow, dinosaurs.
Wow. Your two favorite things, animatronics and dinosaurs.
I would say that one of my other things, one of my favorite animals would actually be bears. So if somebody were to ever combine animatronics and bears, make an animatronic bear, I think I might be really into that. Really, really into an animatronic bear.
I don't know. I think you... personally, I think you would like if it was an animatronic fox better. I think you're more of a fox guy.
The thing is that Disney was able to fulfill my wish because they invented the animatronic bear.
What? What do you mean?
I mean, we went to the Country Bear Jamboree.
Let's go!
Yes, the Country Bear Jamboree
rules.
Do you want to explain to people? Because I was talking to, I won't name drop them, but I was talking to a fellow Five Nights at Freddy's YouTuber, and I mentioned that I was at the Country Bear Jamboree, and they had never heard of it before. And I'm like, but you're a Five Nights at Freddy's YouTuber. How do you not know what the Country Bear Jamboree is?
Well,
so do you want to explain to people?
Sure. You didn't know it before, though, did you? Did you know?
Oh my god! Of course. Of course
okay.
I did.
Okay.
They talk about it on Futurama.
Lulz. So, the Country Bear Jamboree is a show. You sit down in like you're going to see a play or something, and there's, the curtains and the stage and the balconies and whatever. And the premise of the show is that these country bears are gonna perform for you, and they're on tour. And so you sit down, and there's an announcer bear, and he's like, welcome to the Country Bear Jamboree. I'm so-and-so. This is our act. Please enjoy. I present to you, this group. And the group plays their song of, animatronic, the curtains raise, the animatronic bears comes out. One's on a stump playing his banjo. One's, just standing up, blowing into a empty bottle. Everyone has their instrument, and they play their songs, and all of the dialogue is in Japanese. All of the singing is in English. So we were able to keep pace with it a little bit, which I was really happy about, because I really like the songs from Country Bear Jamboree, and you can't find them online. Well,
yes, which I found out when I included a snippet of the show in a YouTube video, and they were just like, nope, absolutely not. I said, okay, so I cut it out. So if you watch my video about us being in Japan, then there's not a part about the Country Bear Jamboree because it got snipped out. So yes, they're 100% you could not film this and upload it online anywhere, which is very sad.
Which is super cringe, because they also don't offer CDs or vinyl. Like, you can't buy the music either. Like, if you want to listen to the Country Bear Jamboree, go to one of the parks, which is a really big ask.
But if you're in the park, I would highly recommend the Country
If you're
Bear
in the
Jamboree.
park,
It's real good.
Country Jamboree, I would say, is a must.
With that said, I also love animatronics, and obviously the history of the Country Bear Jamboree is the history of Five Nights at Freddy's, and also pretty much exclusively listen to country music. So it's kind of just like built for me.
Well, you listen to Taylor Swift. She doesn't do country.
Yes, country music, yeah.
She does every music, not country. Anyway,
Country music.
You're also going to be walking around all the time, so taking 20 minutes to sit down and just kind of vibe is going to be nice. And there's also 3 stuffed mounts to provide commentary, and you can watch a buffalo, an elk, and a deer, I think. Just be the peanut gallery as they commentate on the show.
Yep. We also went to, I believe, the Enchanted Tiki Room. I think that's what it's called.
We did, yeah.
Very similar thing, animatronics, song. You sit there and they're like, we're going to sing songs, and these little birds come out from the ceiling, and then there are some plants on the walls that like also open their mouths and sing, and the specific version of the show has been retrofitted to now include Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. So they do a bunch of Hawaiian songs, and then Stitch comes out, and he's a big Stitch animatronic, and he is so cool, and then he sings. Yeah.
And that's it, which is kind of a bummer to me personally. I liked it without the Stitch because I liked the story better. But that's some real niche nerd nitpicking, and I acknowledge this.
It would be like if you're like, I preferred It's a Small World without Groot. It's like, yeah I get it, but at the same time, like, okay, buddy.
Groot ruins the immersion for me. I can't get into all of us being connected with this plant man existing.
So yeah, we went on just a bunch of rides, and we tried to do a bunch of the attractions, and we spent quite a bit of time, because we decided at one point, they give you on the app the opportunity to save your spot in line on one ride, so you can basically be like, at 4 p.m., I get to cut to the front of the line for one ride. And we chose Thunder Mountain Railroad again. So we're like, at 4 p.m., we're going to do Thunder Mountain. Again, for a second time, because it was the only roller coaster. So we go back over there, and we find the shooting gallery. And the shooting gallery, you go up, and you put in, 200 yen for 10 shots?
Something like that, right? Yeah.
A little over $1 for 10 shots. And nothing comes out of the gun. It's entirely light gun based. But there's this little like saloon in front of you, and there's targets, and you aim the gun and you shoot the targets, and if you hit the target, then a little thing happens in the environment. Like you shoot a bottle, the bottle knocks over, and then like 5 seconds later it stands itself back up. So you and then like 20 other people are all shooting at stuff at the same time. And if you get a perfect 10, then they give you a badge.
Whoa.
So we go up, and I make a comment to Eric. And I'm like, we're Americans. Let's show these guys how to handle some guns. So we go, and we wait in line, and we spend our money, and I go, and I shoot a bottle, and it falls over. And I shoot a straw hat, and it moves. And I shoot a dartboard, and it swings. And I shoot a rat, and it falls over. I'm just going pew, 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 smash, 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 all good. And then I miss my 7th shot. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll have to give this a second try. And then I missed the next 3 shots. I'm like, oh, that was weird. What? Eric also does not get a perfect score. So we set the guns down, and we walk out of the line, and I'm like, I hope you know I'm doing this again until we win. And Eric's like, yeah, okay. So we walk back around to the front of the queue, and the guy there, like the employee, says something to the effect of like, what do you say, like revenge?
Oh yeah,
like you guys want revenge?
You want revenge? You want to get in? You're like, yeah.
Yeah. So we wait online again, and we go, and we put the quarters in, and then we do shooting, and there's a big queue. So I'm like, we'll only like shoot once and then leave and get back in line. And we just keep missing, and I keep getting very frustrated. I'll make the first 3 shots, miss the 4th shot, and be like, well, there goes my perfect score. So now I have like 5 more shots to like try to practice, I get. So I found a perfect spot. I'm like, okay, this is the easiest target in the whole room to hit, so I'm just going to shoot it 10 times. So I shoot it my last 5 times and hit it every time. So we get back in line and I go and I shoot it once and I miss my first shot. And I'm like, oh my god, this is rigged.
Womp womp.
So we just keep looping and we're just like in and out, trying to get new guns. And eventually the guy comes over to us with like his phone to help translate. And he basically tells us like, once you're there, you can just keep going as long as you want. You don't need to keep getting out of line and getting back in. And we're like, thank you.
Yeah.
So then we stayed there for quite a while, putting lots of money in, never winning.
My best score was 8 out of 10, I think.
Yes, I also think my best was 8 out of 10. And we take the railroad, and I keep making comments to Eric like, I hope you know that if I don't win this today, I'm coming back tomorrow. And he's just like, yep, I agree.
Yep.
So we go on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and now it's toward the end of the night, and we're kind of hoping that we're going to stay for the fireworks. But we have one more ride to ride. One more ride we really want to go on.
What ride could that be?
Beauty and the Beast.
What?
Which we're told, and which YouTubers will tell you, is one of the best rides in the park.
Even better than that train where we saw dinosaurs fighting?
Maybe better than the train where we saw dinosaurs fighting. And the line was like 3 hours long.
Yeah. To be expected.
So we get on the line for like 3 hours.
It was a little bit shorter, I think, because we were like, we waited like 2.5 hours or something.
And originally you're on like the bridge leading into the castle, and there's like this waterfall, and there's coins in the bottom of the lake. I'm like, oh, well, I'll toss a coin in for good luck. And then you're like outside the castle, you're like, wow, the castle. And then you're inside the castle, you're like, wow, we're in the castle. And then you just keep like wandering through this castle with all this really cool like decorations, and there's like some small animatronics. Like there's a stool with a tail like a dog, which I think is from the movie.
It is.
And we're like walking and talking, and then the Pope dies, and we're like, wow, the Pope died. And then we keep walking through the castle, and we're just going through this line, and we're talking, and we're yapping, and we're texting, and we're like, I'm on my phone, and we're looking at the decorations, and it's just a really cool line. And then we get close to the front, and they kind of like, there's multiple times where you're not just in a strict line. It's not like we're behind someone the entire time and in front of someone the entire time. Sometimes there's like just kind of like a mass of people you can walk through. Sometimes it's a strict line where you're single file. So we get toward the end, where the ride starts, and there's this lady behind us, and she's like, oh, hey, are you guys American? Because I guess she heard us yapping. And we're like, yeah. So we like strike up a conversation with her, and she tells us her story. She's like, I'm just in Japan for a couple days. I'm like doing a layover or something, so like I wanted to come to Disney. And we're like, yeah, we're here for a month, blah, 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 talking, being besties. And we're getting toward the front of the line. And when you get to the front, you see these giant teacups. Like the teacup saucers from the movie.
But huge.
And
like car-sized, arguably.
Huge, yes. Like
a punch
6
buggy.
to 8 people. 6 to 8 people can sit in them in like a big circle, like a log flume circle thing. So we get there, and we see people like loading on it, and we're all kind of like, we don't know what this ride is. We have literally no idea what it is, besides the fact that it's good. So me and Eric were like, is it a roller coaster? Is it a dark ride? So we get to these...
It's one of them spinny rides.
We get to these teacups, and I'm like, uh-oh. They're not on a track.
It's fine.
This isn't like a dark ride like Snow White, or even Haunted Mansion, where you're in a cart that goes down a track with like ups and downs and spins. We're just in these weird teacup things. Like, they can't go very fast if they're teacups, and maybe they'll just spin around, but like, I don't even know what this ride could feasibly be. If it's not a roller coaster and it's not a dark ride, there's no other kind of ride.
Oh, simple, naive Devon. You had so much to learn at that time.
I did. Because it turns out that this is like, I think there's only 2 rides in the world that do this. It's this one and the Winnie the Pooh one that we didn't go on because it was closed for renovations. The technology behind this ride is that it is a free-moving ride, I think it uses magnets under the floor. Basically, it can operate with more freedom than a roller coaster because it can technically just go anywhere. You don't need tracks. So it moves like a dark ride roller coaster with forward and backwards and spins and blah blah blahs. But you just can't see the track because it's technically following what I'm going to again say is like a big magnet under the floor. So we all pile in and we're like, we don't know what this ride is. And our new friend is like, I don't know what this ride is, but I hope it's good. And I think we're all a little disappointed as we sit into the teacup. And then these big doors open and the teacups move on their own through the doors. And then what unfolds for the next couple minutes is one of the most magical experiences of my life. The greatest ride I have ever seen, with some special effects that I still don't understand how they work. The coolest animatronics ever, and some pretty dope songs.
It's almost like Disney is Disney for a reason. They've lost themselves a little bit.
This ride was more magical than any Disney movie I've seen in the last 15 years.
Oh. It was pretty good.
Do you want to talk about like what the ride was like the first room, the second room, the last room?
So I just want to rewind just a smidge. When we waited in line, you waited throughout the entire castle, like you said. So you're outside, then you're inside. And you're just like, oh, we're in a hallway or whatever. But then you start getting into actual rooms. And if anyone's ever played the Kingdom Hearts series, and you play the Beauty and the Beast levels, we basically went through that. Like, you went into each room. We were in the study, and there were things, and ba-ba-ba-ba. And so one of the final stop, before you even get onto the teacup, you enter the, like, castle proper, and, like, the Beast is bargaining with Belle. And you're like, whoa. And so then you get onto these teacups, and in my head, I'm like, okay, we've walked through the entire castle, like Maurice probably would have done, the father of Belle. We witnessed the Beast yelling at Belle, and now we're about to get in some teacups. I think we're about to experience the movie in a roller coaster. So sure enough, we're on the teacups, everyone's ready. We launch through some, like, barn doors and just push past, and we're in the dining room as Be Our Guest sings and an animatronic Lumiere is performing for us, and we're like, wow, this is kind of cool. And sure enough, right when the part gets good in the song, all the lights and bubbles start coming out, and you're spinning around so you can't see anything, you're moving quick, and it's just all happening all at once. And you're like, whoa, must be what it was like to be Belle in the movie. You're being overwhelmed because your senses are being stimulated. Crazy. And then it ends, and you push through into the next room, and I believe that room was outside as, oh gosh, what's the song? Mrs. Potts sings it. Something was there that wasn't there before. Close enough. So you're outside, and Belle's ice skating, and the Beast is there, and they're like being kind of flirty, and you're spinning, and you're ice skating. And you move into the next room, and it just kind of skip Gaston's song, which is kind of sad. But then you're like, in this big fight, and you're like inside the castle and outside the castle, and then you move to one last little room, and you're like, the Beast is on the floor dying, and Belle says she loves him, and an animatronic Beast transforms into an animatronic Adam. And you're like, what? How does this make sense?
Like, the one of the Belle animatronics, and also the Beast animatronics were just so cool, and they were so big, and the Belle animatronic, like, we saw them in the Winter Wonderland scene, magical, and then we saw them in the spinning dance room, magical, singing, and like, oh my god, this is one of the greatest, coolest animatronics I've ever seen. And then, as Eric just said, you see the Beast, and he, like, kind of glitters, and now he's the
Adam.
The man? But
Adam the man.
I don't understand how they did it. I genuinely do not understand how it was physically possible. I'm like, there must be a hologram or something, because like that was insane.
My theory is that like they have both animatronics at the ready, and there's like a drop floor for the beast, and as the light is sparkling, it drops, and Adam's animatronic, it was in the back and it's pushed forward, and you can't see because of the sparkling light. But that's just a theme park theory. And then you get to the final room in the ballroom, and everyone's dancing, and Belle and Adam are dancing, and you're spinning, and the teacups, and the song's going. And then other animatronics, I think, come in for a second, and you're like, yay, we did it! We watched the movie!
Yeah, and as someone who's never seen the movie, it was pretty cool.
Wait, which is also baffling because you played Kingdom Hearts and you didn't. Anyway, and all of the animatronics were life-size. So, like, when it's like, oh, like, Belle's ice skating next to us, and it's like a human-sized robot next to you with a, smile and, like, looking around and stuff, and it's like, okay. But you're also far enough away that Uncanny Valley doesn't quite hit. But when, like, you see the Beast animatronic, he is also life-size, like, 7-8 feet tall, like, lumbering around. And you're just like, damn. And then it ends. And you have to walk away. They don't let you stay there. They don't let you rewrite it.
Yeah.
Well, they don't let you rewrite it immediately. You have to get back in line.
Yes, and we're like, that was special. Like, unironically, worth the wait. Like, truly magical experience.
I would wait 3 hours for it if it was my first time. I think the value goes a little bit less as if you've already seen it once. And if you've seen it twice, it's kind of exponential. But I would wait in a line that's 2 hours long to go on it again. I think I'd be fine with that.
It was dope.
It was dope, and then we were just mesmerized by that, and we walked into the gift shop, and this man is glass-blowing live sculptures in front of us, and we're like, okay, this is crazy. Hello.
We went and we watched the fireworks, which were not like, crazy good Disney fireworks, but they were still fireworks. They were fun. And then we left, and then we came back the next day, and then we rode Thunder Mountain Railroad again, and we went to the shooting gallery, and we didn't win, and we went on the Mark Twain riverboat ride, and that was kind of cool, because it was like a big boat, and we got different kinds of food, and we were looking for some store. I don't remember exactly what we were looking for, but Eric was like, I asked around, and it's by where I got that mango ice cream the other day. And I was like, okay, so we just need to find that. And then we couldn't agree on where that was, and so we were just stomping around the park for a while. Do you remember what we were looking for?
We were looking for the mango ice cream.
Oh, okay. So you're looking for the mango ice cream, and we're like, it's near Jungle Cruise, I guess?
Because we split up for lunch, and I was like, oh, I want ice cream after lunch, and, have my mango swirl. And I accidentally went to, the Donald Duck Ranger meetup, which is meant for, toddlers. So when this big, late 20s, early 30s, bald American man approached this space meant for toddlers, an employee met me halfway and was like, you look lost, what do you need? And I'm like, I'm just trying to get some mango ice cream. And she's like, oh yeah, it's by Jungle Cruise or something. Just go over here and keep to the left. And I'm like, okay. And I couldn't find it. And then that's when Devon and we did find it. Yes. When we met up, you were like, oh, it's this way. And I'm like, if you say so. And it was that way. And
And
we also
yeah,
went into a lot of shops because we
we
were
did.
like, we went on like rides and stuff for like almost 12 hours straight. We barely looked in the shops. So then we spent most of the day looking in the shops, in addition to what you already said. And I think, given that 2 days was fine in just the one park.
Yes, it allowed us to not be like, I can't believe we spent 3 hours of our only day in Disney online for Beauty and the Beast. It let us do that without feeling guilty. It let us
Yeah,
ride Big Thunder Mountain Railroad
like
three
four
times, sorry.
times.
It let us go on everything, including stuff we normally wouldn't have gone on, like Jungle Cruise and the Big Train, which ended up being so cool. It let us spend a lot of time in the shooting gallery. We went back the second day. We did not win. Very sad.
But Devin found a cheat code. You can win
Yes.
a different type of pin if you shoot the lucky spot, and the lucky spot's just one of the targets randomly selected. And
Yes. I Googled it. So
Devin just shot it.
every 15 or so minutes, it changes which of the more difficult shots is the quote unquote lucky shot. So I just shot all the difficult ones, won a lucky shot ticket, and said, oh, it's that rat. That rat is the lucky shot for the next 15 minutes. So I just played it 3 times and got 3 lucky shots and walked away with 3 sheriff's badges for being such a good shooter. But I never got the 10 out of 10.
Which
Very
I call
sad.
BS. And Devin was like, here you go, Eric, you can have a badge. And I slapped it out of his hand and said, get that away from me. That's tainted. And one of the best things about being at the shooting gallery for so much. Now, this was because of the staff that was attending the rides that day, but maybe you'll get so lucky. I forget if it was the first day or the second day, or the combination of both. But on one of those days, we were there for so long. The staff members came over with like it wasn't a sticker, like a very tiny poster that had Goofy, and it was like, your first ride with a big 1. And you're supposed, like you give it to children, and you're like, hey, you rode your first ride. You rode a roller coaster, and it wasn't so bad. Look, here's a ticket for being such a brave person. And they gave this to us, and written on it was like, good shooting, or like nice try, or something to that effect. I still have it. And they just felt so bad for us not getting a 10 out of 10. They basically made up a new prize for us, and I'm like, this is very sweet. This is better than any sheriff badge I could win.
It's almost as good as a sheriff badge. You're right.
Don't you talk. I don't want to hear it from you.
Very nice, though. It was very, very nice.
It was very nice. And, like, I haven't been to Disney a ton, as I've said, 2 times. But it's little things like that that just really make an experience just a little bit better, It's like, what a nice person.
When we were first going in, we were just kind of walking down the street, like kind of rushing to our first ride. And there are these ladies who have these like big Mickey Mouse gloves on, and they just stand there and like they smile and they wave with both hands at everyone as they're entering the park. Not like at the entrance, like I'm talking like halfway through the park. They're standing there and waving at people. And you're just like, I can't believe that person's job is to stand there and do that all day, full energy, full smile, full wave, and they're not actually like contributing to anything. They're just smiling and waving. That's all they're doing.
Contributing to the ambiance, to the vibe, to the, a positive experience for everyone.
That's the Disney magic.
It's kind of magical. Just a bit.
If you could rate on a tier list, Disney and Ghibli, which one is in first and which one is in second?
Disney is in first by a mile.
Yes.
Ghibli is second, and Ghibli is only second because of the way episodes are coming out. And Ghibli is second, and it's such a distant second. It's like Disney's on the moon, Ghibli's on Earth, looking up, disappointed at themselves and their failed rocket ship.
And again, I'm not even comparing this like roller coaster wise, just like experience, as you were saying, like staff member kindness, the theming, the immersion, the overall enjoyment, yet not even
Yeah,
remotely
no.
the same.
And to the credit, like the staff at Ghibli were kind, and I didn't have any issue with them. It was everything else.
Yep.
So I think that's a bit it. I think the food at Disney is a bit more hidden, and I don't even know if that's actually true. Because to eat food at Ghibli, you got to go into the museum to get the good food. And if you don't have a ticket to the museum, I don't know if you can get to the cafeteria.
There was the restaurant we didn't go in.
There was a restaurant we didn't go in, but could you go in to the cafeteria without a ticket?
No. But Eric, you don't understand, everything at Ghibli was just food. It was just a bakery. It was just food. There was the whole park.
A hattery isn't food.
Eric, you should eat your hat.
Ah,
Can't
you're
believe you
so
said
right.
That. Or you'll eat your hat.
I will say, Disney's food I thought was a little hard to find. Like, churros and ice cream is everywhere. But on the first day, I was like, okay, I want to eat a meal. And I just couldn't, like, they have the big restaurants, like there's a diner and it's got diner food, but really it's like 3 meals and they're all cheeseburgers. And it's like, okay, if I don't want to eat at like an actual restaurant, like what do I, and there's like a turkey leg and I guess, but I was just like, what do I do? How do I get food? And on the second day, when we were in Beauty and the Beast land, you can go into Gaston's Tavern, and that has some food. That had some mashed potatoes, I think it was maybe a gratin, and like a pretzel hot dog bun with a sausage in it, and it like a drink, and I was like, oh my gosh, food. Must suck to be Devon.
Yeah, I had nothing. I had churros. I will say, I was very happy. They had a pin for the churro cart, so I bought a churro cart pin. I felt like it really resonated with me. My full experience was the churro carts. I wouldn't have been able to say I went to Disney if it wasn't for them churro carts.
So true. But yeah, overall, I'd say it was a good time. But was it the best time at a theme park?
I would say it was not the best time at a theme park, but we'll have to wait for a different episode to talk about that.
What a tease.
What a tease.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Tip your local mice.